In commemoration of the month of love, let's talk about the cute bruiser troll that Andrew Hussey openly called extra, and, if the tongue-in-cheek jabs in the comic are anything to go by, how the fanbase will never ever let her rest in peace. Nepeta's name was suggested by the same person who named Eridan, Tenebraeus, who I recently learned also is, or was, one of the members of Homestuck's music team. Her first name is derived from the scientific genus of catnip, Nepeta cataria, recognized for its heart-shaped leaves, its flowers that can bloom pink, and its effects on cats, both wild and domestic. Fun fact, while catnip is well known for causing cats to act sleepy, it can also cause cats to be anxious or aggressive. Depends on the cat, I guess. Leijon is taken from the surname of Anna Greta Leijon, who was a Swedish minister of immigration in 1976, and was the victim of a kidnapping plot dubbed Operation Leo. The Swedish word Leijon, the archaic spelling being spelled with an I, means lion. Also, the Finnish word for lion is Leijona. Nepeta is the only confirmed wielder of Clawkind, where she slashes foes with retractable Wolverine-like claws. Only two Clawkind weapons are known, the Claw Gloves and the Action Claws. The latter was used by Gamzee Makara, while Nepeta was still wearing them, to give himself his distinctive facial scars before killing Nepeta. One of the things I like about Nepeta's distinct typing quirk is the prefix, specifically the less than symbol, since it denotes the tail of a speech bubble coming out of the two mouths of her feline Lucis, showing her dedication to role-playing. The number 33 may have a couple other connotations attached to it. 3 times 3 is 9, the number of lives a cat is supposed to have, and 33 is the atomic number of arsenic, tying in with her screen name, Arsenic Catnip. Arsenic is a toxic element often used as rat poison, fitting with the stereotypical cat hunting and killing rodents. Connected to this, scientists suspect arsenic is a carcinogen, aka a cancer-causing element. Is this just a subtle hint to her crush on Karkat? Or do you think it's saying that her crush on Karkat is cancerous? I'm kidding, guys. Get your fingers off of that keyboard. The ancestor of Nepeta Leijon and the post-scratch incarnation of Nemean Lion is the disciple, the sufferer's most devoted follower. While we don't know when or how they met, the disciple listened to every vision the sufferer retold, every lesson he preached, and faithfully recorded his scripture. Eventually, they became matesprits, although it's said that their relationship was more than that, going beyond the standard set of quadrants entirely. To spread the sufferer's message throughout the world, they took to the seas in a vessel of legend known as the First Ship. You get it? 'Cause shipping? Yeah, you did. Of course, when the sufferer gets executed, his close network of followers gets punished too. While the Weeping Dolorosa was sold to Dualscar, and the helmsman gets grafted into the Condescension spaceship, the disciple was supposed to die to an arrow, just like her matesprit. However, Equius's ancestor, the Executor, took pity on her and allowed her to escape, hinting at possible pale feelings between them, despite them presumably just meeting for all we knew. She absconded with the running pants cat joke, the only remaining evidence of the sufferer's existence, and spent the rest of her life secluded in caves, recording the sufferer's teachings on the walls with the blood of slain creatures. Her dedication was critical to the persistence of his message, and ultimately Karkat's survival, since, according to Doc Scratch, it was due to the efforts of the Signless's hidden followers that Karkat even got his Lucis, since, as a biological anomaly, he would not have been chosen by one. The disciple died, most likely from old age, still very much in love with the Signless, which lived on in Nepeta's flushed crush on Karkat. Why yes, Homestuck readers somehow unaware of troll culture. That does mean Nepeta is in love with her biological brother. Possibly unwittingly, but The conception of these alien humanoid insects are already incestuous as it is. It helps knowing that this takes place in a fictional galaxy far, far away, and nothing is sacred in anime. Nothing. Further parallels between the disciple and her descendant are Nepeta's shipping wall, which is drawn in the blood of animals, and both of them dwelling in caves, not to mention the incident concerning the disciple and the executor, foreshadowing Nepeta becoming Moirails with Equius. When it comes to real-world parallels, the disciple may represent the Apostle John Mark, whose symbol was a lion, and he's the presumed writer of the Gospel of Mark. However, another person who fits a bit better in my opinion is the Apostle John, because not only did he also write his own testimony of Jesus' life in the book of John, he's referred to as the disciple who Jesus loved, and was present at Jesus' crucifixion. He was also the only one of Jesus' disciples to not die the death of a martyr, instead living out his remaining years in exile on the Isle of Patmos. Meanwhile, Mark wasn't even one of the disciples. He was an apostle who traveled with Paul to preach the gospel to the Gentiles. His gospel was probably Peter's point of view on the events anyway, since Mark later served as his Greek translator. And unlike John, Mark was martyred by being dragged through the streets of Alexandria by pagans. Honestly, Homestuck Wiki, get your act together. Sorry. I get a little worked up with when elements of Judeo-Christian faith and history get misinterpreted. Moving on. The disciple could also be a counterpart of Mary Magdalene, one of the female followers of Jesus during his travels, joining him after he exorcised 7 demons out of her. I wonder if... Nah, couldn't be. That'd be crazy. Mary Magdalene is also one of the few who had the guts to go with John to see Jesus' death when all the other official disciples were hiding in fear, and she was one of the first people to see Jesus after he rose from the grave. Lastly, it's theorized by some scholars that Mary Magdalene was Jesus' lover or wife. No. Just no, Mr. Da Vinci Code. Sorry, you don't want to hear me rant anymore. I'll just let someone else deal with this situation, okay? I think this episode might be good for a little Dave Peta, don't you? Some, not all. The Sprite Guides can have an episode all to themselves someday. Though, I'll list one of my favorite fridge facts about them for now. Dave Peta is a combination of a rogue of heart and a knight of time. The heart aspect is related to the ability to connect with people, and it also relates the soul to a heart motif. The time aspect allows you to reverse time to fix your mistakes with knowledge from doomed timelines, including reversing death. Add to the mix that even Dave Peta is unsure about what gender they are, and the Undertale shout-out in Soundpage Collide makes perfect sense. Dipping our toes into the vastness that is quantum mechanics, many of the fans at the time when Gamzee was murdering trolls on the meteor saw the then unconfirmed death of Nepeta as a reference to Schrödinger's cat. Schrödinger's cat is a thought experiment used as an example about how the scientific theory works. The hypothetical experiment states if you were to put a cat and some kind of poison inside of a box, then sealed the box shut, we, the observer, would have no idea if or when the cat dies. The cat, therefore, is in a paradoxical state of being both alive and dead at the same time, until you confirm one or the other by opening the box and looking inside. When asked directly if this was an intentional reference, Hussey stated that he knew people would come to that conclusion, but that it was not made on purpose. Would this make this an anti-fridge fact? Oy vey. One of the elements of writing that Andrew Hussey implements often is foreshadowing. Usually he goes about this with subtlety so strong you don't realize it's there until return read-throughs, at least in my case. However, one of the more obvious pieces of foreshadowing was from Nepeta's shipping wall, where there was a picture of Gamzee and Karkat as moirails, with Gamzee shush-papping Karkat's face. Nepeta noted that it's still plausible, but the roles will have to be dramatically reversed. And lo, it was. Even though it didn't last long. Nepeta's scrub-generated planet actually has a lot of references associated with it. The land of little cubes and tea, lolcat, is a world where the land is made of sugar powder and the rivers run with green tea. Good thing that the heart's aspect symbol can double as a teacup. Teapots can even link back to a moirail Equus, since there's a group of bright stars in the center of the Milky Way known as the Teapot Asterism, located in the Sagittarius constellation, the asterism being best visible during the months of the Leo zodiac. Speaking of the zodiac, Leos are often seen as cheerful, energetic, and a bit stubborn, and one of the sign's associated body parts is the heart. Leo's symbol is a lion, which specifically traces back to the Nemean Lion, a mythological creature that Nepeta and the disciple allude to. According to some versions of the Greek myth, the Nemean Lion was a magical creature who would draw in would-be heroes near the mouth of its cave by appearing as a damsel in distress, and then transforming into a lion to kill them. Killing the Nemean Lion was one of the 12 labors of Hercules. Yes, I'm going to pronounce his name that way. I know the Greeks called him Heracles. Bear with me. Anywho, Hercules originally attempted to kill the lion with arrows, but found out the hard way that its golden pelt was impervious to all but the most powerful of weapons, the arrows bouncing off like it was nothing. Hercules instead trapped the lion in a confined area, stunned it with his club, and strangled it to death, later wearing its pelt as armor. I suddenly feel kind of sick. Let's move on. Okay, a bit of a cop-out this episode, class-spect-wise, as while Nepeta is the rogue of heart, there are 2 other kids who better fit the descriptions of both the class and the aspect, so I'll be getting into more detail with them in future episodes. But that said, Andrew Hussey, having both a fascination and awareness with Eastern philosophy and religion, must have known that the color of chakra associated with the heart is green. This might be the reason why green-blooded Nepeta and Nemean Lion are cast as heart players in the narrative, and why green is used as an accent color in the god-tier robes of heart-bound players. Calliope has stated that the heart aspect is comparable to the essence of being, or the soul. Calliope also says that this aspect may cause splintering in the hero's personality, and the extended Zodiac quiz says that heart players are natural actors, putting on or taking off masks depending on the situation. This may be related to the role-playing tendencies of Nepeta. The extended Zodiac quiz also labels heart players as being slightly self-absorbed, and in the Western Zodiac, Leos are described as being self-centered and love being admired by others. However, Nepeta doesn't nearly have enough screen time for us to completely make that connection to her, although this might be because she is part of the passive rogue class, making Nepeta's abilities less about helping herself and more focused around helping others with their emotional issues, such as how she kept Equus pacified as his moirail. More active players, though, we'll get to that another time. And rogue. Cat burglar? Yeah, it's a pun, and I love it. And the last Fridgestuck fact for Nepeta Leijon is... let's finish this off with something great. Nepeta's music. 2 of Nepeta's songs, Walls Covered in Blood and Nepeta's theme, were originally created by Toby Fox, both appropriately composed in Mario Paint. Surprisingly though, most of Nepeta's unused songs ended up being incredibly emotional. For example, Serenade in Volume 8. I mean, just look at the song art. Not to mention, if you play Mulan's Requited from Volume 9 at the same time, they work together like a duet. the feels. And don't even get me started on 9 Lives, 1 Love from the Colors and Mayhem Universe A album, because the runtime is 6 minutes and 33 seconds. Hold back the tears, Jen. Cry when Audacity isn't recording. Thank you guys so much for watching this Fridgestuck episode for Nepeta Leijon. I hope you enjoyed. Any facts I missed? Do you have a character or a concept that you'd like to see? Leave it down below and it might end up on the show someday. Be sure to give a like, comment, subscribe, and share with a friend, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!
Stop, don't be rude.
You really love your brother, huh?
What do you mean? Of course I do. It's normal.